All right, so we introduced some stuff that I think we might have mentioned during maybe Gamescom in Germany a little bit about this, but I went through basically our new take on internal politics. And like internal politics in Hoi 3 was something that you didn't really have that much interaction with, and we wanted to make it more interesting and let you kind of build up your nation in more detail and introduce interesting choices and stuff. So first up, I introduced the concept of political power, which is something we modeled after, well, basically how Hitler kind of got into power from 36 onwards by being, well, a very, very lucky guesser and seeing how the other nations would react to kind of Germany going on a more aggressive path again. So what that political power does is it basically simulates how much power you as the leader have and how much direct control you can do, and it sort of slows you down a bit, so you can't just do whatever you want. You have to kind of convince people that you know what you're doing, and sort of create this loop of kind of setting up a goal for the nation. That's a new thing called national goals, and fulfilling this goal, and that gives you more political power. You can kind of try and keep this rolling and get everything you need to do. Political power is also used for kind of setting up a cabinet. So say you want to prove yourself, and you set up some goals and say you remilitarize the Rhineland, show that nobody actually bothered to stop you. They could, of course, but it might not be great for the other nations to do that early. And that gives you political power, and you could use this for either immediately going for another goal, like, for example, Anschluss of Austria, or say getting you know the right people that you want into the government under your direct control. And so that's kind of the core of it. We also introduced a fan favorite from Hearts of Iron 2, which was called tech teams back then, and we call them just companies now, because they directly influence manufacturing stuff as well. And it's basically, we researched historical companies that did stuff, and you can kind of pick who's going to be your primary developer for each branch. So we have like a light aircraft manufacturer, tank manufacturer, stuff like that, and each kind of have a combination of either research bonuses or actually change the starting stats of units. So I know it's something that people have seen as a criticism, is that the tech trees is the same for all the nations in the world, but actually when you go into and select different companies, it ends up being different. So say a heavy tank for Germany with the same year as for Japan would be different, because you would have different companies developing it, and it would kind of nudge the stats in different directions. So we feel this will add a lot of cool flavor and kind of make each nation be a little bit unique, play a bit differently.
Yeah, how did you actually come to that decision to actually go back to what were in Hearts of Iron 2? You had the tech teams, obviously,
Yeah.
and they're now companies. Why was it initially removed from Hearts of Iron 3 to begin with, and why are we bringing it back now?
Well, they had a couple of issues in. The main issue was like balance-wise, because they were very specific, and it made it hard for minor nations. It was kind of straitjackety, and just a lot of balance was tied into like historical research stuff. Whereas now they're more like a bonus. It doesn't limit how many research tasks you can do at the same time, stuff like that. So I'm thinking we avoided most of the issues, but kind of retained all of the flavor. And I think actually the flavor of changing the stats you get once you research rather than just the speed kind of even makes it more interesting, more flavorful.
Yeah, which obviously turns into, which ties into some other mechanics in the game as well that we discussed earlier when it comes to modifying.
Yeah,
some of these
so
things as well.
I think was that Dev Diary 4 maybe, we talked about variants and experience upgrades. So this is something similar. So say that you pick Porsche, which historically did fairly a little bit too advanced designs that had reliability issues. and they like the electronics a bit too much and stuff like that. And you could, so that will be a weakness if you run with Porsche as your main tank producer. You're going to end up with slightly less reliable tanks. They're going to break down a lot more in the field, so you're going to have to match production. Or once you get enough kind of experience going using them in the field, you can actually try and fix these errors.
Jakob, what's your experience been with Porsche tanks so far?
Well, they tend to get stuck in the mud a lot, and they tend to overheat, and they tend to catch fire.
Somebody's been watching
They're actually
Girls
pretty
in Panzers,
fragile, yes.
Yeah, exactly. For those people that are not aware, there is this Japanese anime. It's like this exactly the same thing. There's Japanist animation called Girls in Panzers, and there's this video. If you go onto the forum, basically, it shows you the impression of the Porsche design Tiger 2 with the Porsche turret on there. That
how heavy was that cannon though?
It was an 88, I think.
No, it was the Sunday.
Was it 88, 105? I'm not entirely sure.
It was a little bit front heavy. They had a big, I don't remember how big, but it was a huge armor plate they welded onto the front.
Of course it did.
Yeah. So it was kind of front heavy and stuff.
Yeah.
They
Why
lately
didn't
used
the
the
Tiger
chassis
use
for
the-
elephants.
Yeah. Why didn't the Tiger have sloped armor?
Well, they didn't really think about it. I think it was early.
But it was the side in what? 43?
Don't remember when the first design started being made, but it
Because
wasn't really that. Also, I'm not sure if, for one reason, I think it might have been simpler to make it flat,
Yeah.
and they probably counted on nobody being able to punch through it, which was somewhat true at the start too.
When in
Because it was
doubt, add like
Because
33 millimeters
I
of
think
armor.
it was a
Or make
fairly
it
early
slope.
design.
Yeah,
so-
fair enough. But I mean, when it was introduced, it was, sloped armor was standard from the T-34 forward.
T-34 took quite a while before it actually had an impact. I mean, the Germans didn't make sloped until the Panther.
Yeah.
They had prototypes in between, but
All we can confirm is that Henschel made the superior design,
Yes.
and we're all very, very...
Yes.
And the Tigers are
definitely.
slightly overvalued.
Yeah, they should have built more Panzer IVs, in my personal
Improving on that building, maybe the Panther.
But we can spurg about historical accuracies about which Panzer was better than the other ones till the end of day, because everybody has a different opinion about
The
it.
T-34.
and we all know which one is the real one anyway.
T-34.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In the end, it's the tank that matters.
And then Centurion that came 2 weeks after the war.
Yeah.
That was the best.
Oh man,
Don't
the tank
find out.
derailment discussion in the stream is real, apparently, to the people in the broadcast. So in the meantime, we also have another guest here. We have Andreas Wolotoft here as well. Andreas, when you first was asked to start composing the music for Hearts of Iron 4, how much experience did you actually have with Hearts of Iron 4 to begin with? Or did you ever actually play any of the game itself at any point in time? Oh, careful now.
Well, I had played the earlier games. Hearts of Iron
Yeah.
2 I made the music for, and number 3. So, I had some experience.
Yeah, I don't know if the game actually was playable when you started making
No.
some of the music.
I get to start a bit earlier nowadays.
Yeah. I think what I said was like, please, not anything like Ride of the Valkyries, because
Okay.
during development Hearts of Iron 3, Ride of the Valkyries starts up when you start the game, and on the development machines it runs on maximum volume. There's no way to lower the volume until you get into the game. So I've listened to Ride of
Is
the
that a bad
Valkyries
thing?
if you do it over several months, it is.
But is it hard to find inspiration when you've done... I mean, you've done 2 games already in Hearts of Iron, you said. Is it hard to find inspiration? Is it hard to sort of see what you want to do the next time around? Or is it sort of like... Is it obvious, like, oh, I should have done that, or why did I do this?
Well,
or,
I have more to go on now
Yeah.
with the themes,
Yeah.
because I have several themes already established.
Yeah.
So I would say it's a bit easier.
Okay.
Then again, you have to make it better. So
And feel fresh. Yeah.
exactly.
Okay, so when Dawn came to you, what was the initial inspiration for? Because it's been a while since Hearts of Iron 3 came out,
Yeah.
or even 2. There's been quite a bit of a shift in popular culture when it comes to how these eras were approached. Whereas when we used to have like this bombastic bombastic style of music going on, whereas we kind of shifted to a more melodic, the horrors of war approach since that time.
Yeah.
Like, what was the main inspiration for the soundtrack?
Well, you know, there's a lot of different inspirations. I mean, I want to have the march-like music they had in those times, but I also want to have the thematic approach, so you can get a feeling, for that time period. Well, I'm all over the place, I'm trying to stuck as much as I can at the soundtrack. So, yeah.
How much? How far have you come? How much is done? Is
I'm
anything
about-
finished?
Yeah, sure. All the main themes are finished, and I would say we're around 50% in with all the music composed.
All right, cool. Let's go and take a look here at some of the political stuff. Apparently, one of the commanders doesn't have his insignia on the right side of his chest. Would you like to comment on that, Don?
Yeah, it's, I already thrown our artist off the balcony here. We're on the 23rd floor.
You didn't even get to commit seppuku.
No.
No. So you also mentioned that we have these goals, and how much of these are actually railroady for players, and specifically for AI as well, because these are sort of guidelines for both the AI or for our players. But is there anything, like, what is the reason behind those, and how railroady is the game really compared to, say, Hearts of Iron 3? Could you turn the German Reich, in this case, into a benevolent democracy together with France and invade the USSR? That's fascist.
Yes, I would say so. Yeah, you can at least certainly try. We have ways of kind of shifting the government, which, depending on how far of a stretch it is, can cause civil wars. So then you'd have to basically win the civil war to get what you expect. Yeah, so say Germany converting to democracy early, you probably have to do some groundwork there to pull that off, or make sure you get support from the democracies.